Thanks for tuning into the Pacey Performance Podcast. So today I'm delighted to welcome Guilherme Passos-Ramos. So welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thank you very much, Rob. It's a pleasure to be here with you. As I've listened many of your podcasts, I'm a big fan of this podcast. So it's a pleasure, my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. The one thing I've got to say, I messed it up. The one thing, which is your name, I've messed it up. So we're all good. You're all good. But thank you for coming on. But it was Alan McCall at Arsenal that made the introduction. So I really appreciate Alan for making that. It's great to get you on. Anyone that doesn't know who you are and what you do you want to give us a bit of an introduction, your background, education, and what you're currently doing in Brazil?
Sure. First of all, I'd like to also thank you, Alan. He's a very good friend and nice person. So, and do not care about saying my name correctly. So just call me Gui. That's okay. It's my nickname here in Brazil. So I'm the sports scientist of the Brazilian national team, the pro team. I work at CBF, the Brazilian Football Confederation, for 7 years as a sports scientist, and I'm the pro team style sports scientist from 2 years until now. So I'm graduated in physical education here in Brazil. So I did my master's in physiology, with say physiology or sports science, and my PhD also in sports science. So in my master's, I studied thermoregulation in athletes. In my PhD, I studied load monitoring in football players. So that's my background. I in university. So I also worked in a swim team, in a pro swim team here in Brazil for 2 years, and with I worked in a professional team. The name is Cruzeiro, but many years ago with my supervisor, my master's degree supervisor. So I used to go to the team to help him, and I guess that time I started learning a bit more about sports science applied in soccer.
Do Cruzeiro play in black and white?
Cruzeiro actually plays in blue and white.
Blue and white. Oh,
blue
okay.
and white.
Damn,
yeah, the other team from Minas plays in black and white. Athletic.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. At the time, I got a really good opportunity from this my supervisor. His name is Emerson Silami. He's a famous person here in Brazil as a sports scientist. So he was a professor of UFMG, the Federal University of Minas Gerais. And I think at that time, he was the only guy that could be a professor at the university and at the same time a sports scientist at one big team in the first Brazilian division. So all his studies could have the opportunity to go to the university and also work or help him or doing some testing pre-season with the team. So it was a incredible experience for a student during his university period. So I think that it helped many of sports scientists here in Brazil to get into the professional football and so on.
How many sports scientists work at the CBF?
I started working there 7 years ago, so that was any sports scientist working there full time. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that I'm the first one that got actually how it works, just to have an idea. CBF invite professionals to work with the team, so the youth team. So when they invite one youth 15 team, so they invite the sports science, the coach. It used to be like that many years ago, 7 years ago. And when I start working, I was summoned at my first time to work with the under 15 female team. So my first time in CBF was under 15 female team. So I guess that I did a good job at the time. We didn't have many equipments to do tests or player monitoring or something like that. So I bought some. I bought some equipments. I brought some. I borrowed from the university some of them, and I showed the CBF persons at the time, the managers, the real value of those informations. And at that moment, I started coming back with the under 17, under 20 professional female team. And at that time, they were rebuilding the training center with a new structure, new facilities. So they could see the value of the information, and they invited me to be part of the training center. So to work in the training center and manage all the equipments. Not many at that time, just one isokinetic equipment, one spirometer, is that right in English?
Okay. Yeah.
To measure VO2,
Yep.
and some treadmills for tests, not many. But they could saw they could see the value of this all this info. So I started at that time, and I asked them for 1 year, I guess 1 or 2 years, to buy some more equipment like GPS. We bought catapult. Later on, we bought many heart rate monitors, and I started doing some load measurement during the training sessions. So at that time in the training center, we could get all the teams that went to the training center to train there for a period before one tournament. I could monitor them. So I was showing all the time the value of all this information. And as they could see that, they later on they invited another sports science to work at CBF for the female team, just exclusive for the female team. In the professional team, they were using to invite one physiologist, but from one club. So he used to work with the pro team just during the FIFA period, not the other time he was working with his club. So later on, they invited me to be part of the pro team in 2000 after the World Cup of 2018. So I to be just exclusive to the pro team, and they invited they employed another person to be a sports science of the training center and youth team. So now we are 3 sports scientists.
Nice.
Just to tell you all the story how
that's interesting.
It happened.
Yeah, it's interesting that Brazil been such a football, soccer dominating nation, and I suppose we see sports science here in the UK or in Australia that's been around for a little bit longer. So it's interesting to see that from your point of view and in Brazil. So do a lot of the clubs in the top league in Brazil will have sports scientists? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, in the professional league, the A series, all of them have sports scientists.
Yeah.
I guess at that time only CBF wasn't one sports scientist.
Okay.
Maybe because they were inviting all the time people to work with, but later on they could see the value of the sports science being there all the time.
Mm-hmm. So with your role being solely exclusively with the national senior team, when they're not in camp, when they're not in training camp and friendlies and tournaments, what are you doing in terms of from a monitoring perspective to keep track of your players and get the information that you need, so when they are in camp, you know what's going on and you can guide training?
So when Chichi came to the national team, he came with a huge staff. So it was a good thing for CBF. He came with 4 assistant coaches and also with one physical coach. And when Fabio came to the national team, we started doing feedbacks to all the teams, all the player teams. So we could grow, or we could create a good relationship with them. So nowadays, when we are not with the players, with us, and sometimes the coach can see one specific situation, like it happened just now for this next FIFA period. He would like to invite one player that actually plays in as a midfielder, but this player already played as a fullback, and our coach would like that this guy could play for us as a fullback, but he's playing as a midfielder.
Okay.
So in this kind of situations, the coach asks us if this player can have the physical condition to play as a fullback, and the tactical role that our coach wants that he can play. So we ask the club all the information from this player, so the GPS information, the physical tests, and also we know that this specific player already played as a fullback. So I got all the match that this player played as a fullback, and I could compare the data against our fullback when our players played as a fullback, and from the 2018 fullbacks during the World Cup, all the tracking data. So I put everything together, and I can see if this player already did that volume, that high intensity speed, so all this kind of stuff to tell the coach, we have an idea that he can help the situation as you want. So this one specific situation. In other situations, I watch many matches. Me and Fabio, we also watching all the match from the possible summoned players. So the coach used to give us one list of 40 or 50 players that can have the chance to be summoned to the national team. So me and Fabio, we can check all the matches and watch many of these matches. Whenever we have some doubts about the physical condition of the player, we also send an email to the team and ask all the information. The main thing I can see that we need to understand football, the technical and tactical aspect, not as much as a coach or assistant coach, but we must understand that to watch the match and see what's happening, and to contextualize the physical data with the tactical and technical context, and to try to put everything together to give one feedback to the coach. That's what we do when we are not with the players. Actually, we are not with them most of the time, right? So we ask. Sometimes the club may think, I imagine, so they are asking again. But I think that's the best for the players, and we will have the chance to have all the good information to someone or to the coach, to give it to the coach, and the coach can have all the best information to be fair to invite one or another player to the national team.
What percentage of players that are invited to the national team are actually playing in Brazil?
Playing Brazil, it depends of the situation, but most of the time, 3 or 4 players in 23.
Yeah, so that makes it even harder to get information, because you're dealing with European clubs, different time zones, different language. Oh wow, okay.
Most of the time is from international clubs.
Yeah.
So here in Brazil, it's much easier.
Yeah, of course.
So I have the contact of all the sports scientists in the first division of the Brazilian national team. But around the world, we also have many contacts. But sometimes, as happened now, Juventus, like for example, Juventus changed its technical staff, so changed the physical coach. So we need to make another contact, ask the name of the persons, so introduce us, and try to have all the time a good relationship with them, to give them the info and get from them also.
Do you think, you mentioned about the importance of having good technical and tactical information technical and tactical understanding? Is that, do you think that's emphasized even more because of Brazil's culture as a footballing nation, with the emphasis more on that than the physical?
I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah, Brazilian players, they are so famous. I think so more about their technical and tactical and especially technical skills.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it has one behavior in the country and about that. I'm pretty sure that it happens. So we need to understand these technical and tactical aspects. Our coaches, they look so much about that. They care about that from the players. And sometimes if you interpret like one physical info just with the numbers without seeing what happened in the match, you can give to the coach or technical staff a completely wrong answer. So about the player physical state. And as we know, the physical aspects uh, in matches are so related to the contest. So it's impossible to give any feedback without watching or seeing what happened. I used to say that a sports science must be beside the field, watching the training. I'm not telling about the match. I'm also talking about the training sessions. It must be beside I'm saying beside, right? Beside the field.
Yeah.
He must be beside the field, watch all the training session, not just be uh, how can I say, be in the back of the computer,
yes,
just looking the screen. That's terrible. I don't believe that the right way to work as a sports science. So you need to watch the match, see what the coach is saying, feel the environment, what the player did right, did wrong in a technical, tactical aspect to interpret, maybe also to interpret his RPE after the session. So it happens many times. So I think that's why we need to understand technical and tactical aspects.
When you're in a tournament, have you been in a tournament yet? With the national?
Yes,
Seniors?
I've been in with youth teams,
Yep.
and also with the pro team the last Copa America here in 2019.
Okay, yeah. So when you're collecting a lot of data during tournaments, what do you really value when it comes to load monitoring in tournaments? Given how quick the games come around every 2 to 3 days, obviously lots of pressure. Lots of pressure again because you're Brazilian. You're expected to win all the time. All that kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly. So, what do you really value when it comes to the data that you collect?
Yeah, nowadays we are collecting data from external and internal loads, so GPS data, RPE each session, and also to monitor recovery, we measure CPK, thermal images, and we try to put everything together to have some decision about the feedback for the next load, the next training load. So for us, all this information are very important. So I look all of them, but many times working with a high level athletes, in my point of view, like those professional athletes that come to the national team, their RPE together with their feedback or with what they are feeling is very important. So you need to listen to that. So the training load, the GPS, the CPK, the thermal images, everything together with the athlete feedback. And sometimes you need to contextualize also. When you have like an old player or an older player and that already came to the national team many times, and he is a very good player. He knows that with this performance, he would come back all the time, just be regular in his team. So he's much more, how can I say, you can trust much more his info. Whenever whenever one youth player comes to the national team, his info about what he's feeling is not trustable. So you need to know that. So it's quite hard. If you just look to the RPE after session, same load for both players, they will have completely different RPE just because they want to be here. They want to train next session. The youth players, the old players, they know what they can do, so you can trust a bit more. So I think just contextualizing the info that they tell us, but also I use I believe that high speed running is a quite good info to manage between sessions, so or between matches. I think this nowadays this info you must look at and see the player behavior and see if it's above, under, or the training session that he used to do is completely different in this specific metric, so we can have some adjusts in the next session, or maybe talk to the coach to have these adjustments about the pitch size to increase or decrease the exposure to high speed running. That's there are a lot of metrics that we can discuss about. The literature has many info about each one of them, but telling you what I look more is the high speed running, RPE, what player tell you, and that's it. And I these are more valuable. So the other thing that I measure, I look, I take in account, but these three I can say that has a lot of value.
Can you talk to us a little bit more about the thermal imaging?
Yeah, we have a thermal camera.
Okay.
So we measure thermal images after each 48 hours after each match. So we try to create like a thermal profile of the player after a match, and we try to figure out if the player got one difference, one height difference in temperature, in leg temperature. So in one spot or in one leg compared to the other one, so we can have an idea with what happened with the load during the match. If the player got one hit in his leg, so we can see or try to see by the thermal image. We have some, how can I say, I believe that I'm not sure how can I tell it in English, so sorry.
That's okay.
How can we interpret the image? I think the image interpretation is valuable, because many times we try to put like numbers in the image. Some people are trying to create some softwares to give you just one number. So 1 degree difference between right leg compared to the left leg. And sometimes it spread all the leg, so it's not so important. If it's in one small spot, so it's more important. So you need to see the number and also interpret the image. Like in how can resonance, I don't know the name in English, is MRI.
Okay. Yeah,
so sometimes you can see you need to interpret the image also, the spot where it happens. So it's a kind of, it's the way that we try to use this thermal image.
Is the
it was clear?
Yeah, very clear. Yes, okay. Yes, very clear. So the thermal imaging camera, is that portable? Do you take that with you to tournaments and to games? Okay.
Yeah, it's portable. So it's a kind of a big photo camera.
Okay. Yeah.
So we can have images. The hard part is to normalize everything, to put the camera at the same distance all the time, to have the same room temperature, so to have a good image quality. So that's the hardest part, working with that. So we are traveling to hotels all the time. Not all of them have the same structure to put the camera and build the physiology room. So that's how we work with that.
Yeah, I'm just interested with how Brazil play, very possession based, and how that differs from the players that will go to Europe and play maybe different styles, and how that affects them from a physical point of view in terms of how they play for their clubs versus how they're expected to play for their country, and how you manage that from a national team point of view to make sure that they are ready to play the style that you want them to play from a national team level.
Yeah, not that I want that they play, but the coach.
Okay, yeah, coach, yeah. Yeah,
Just kidding,
yeah.
just because here in Brazil, whenever we as a sports scientist or a physical coach, or we start talking too much about technical and tactical aspects, that's dangerous. So,
Yeah.
but that's okay. So, yes, it's a concern that we have all the time. So many times they are playing different positions or different tactical aspects in their club. And talking also about clubs training and tactical aspects, I think that's not just related about the country. It's more related about the coach and the technical staff that work with the players. So just to explain better, if you check like Premier League teams that has maybe one Spanish coach or one coach from Portugal, the physical aspect of the match is completely different from one coach that is from England. Actually, it's from England. So, and it happens in Germany, in Italy. So many times the main difference is more related with the coach and the team staff nationality, not the country that is from the team. So that's the difficult part. As we asked the team, like for one period with the national team, the player load 4 weeks or 5 weeks before he come to the national team, we can have a good idea what the player did in the field. So sometimes we can ask our coach to build progressively. How can I say that?
Progressively?
Progressively.
Yeah, that's
sorry.
good. Yeah.
Progressively the load in respect to what he wants that they play do in a tactical and technical aspect. I think that what we can do to tell or discuss with the coach, and also we can try sometimes when it's quite different. So if it increase, but if it decrease, that's okay. So the player can do that. He won't be so tired. He can recover for the next session. But if it increase, so we can do some recovery sessions or try some strategies to speed his recovery. That's why that's how we work.
Interesting.
I don't know if I answered your
question. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when the guys come on camp, come back to Brazil. Do you all meet in Brazil, or do you sometimes meet in Europe? Does everyone always come home?
No, we many times we meet in Europe. We already meet in Europe. Yeah. Especially for a friendly match. South America tournament, World Cup qualifies. We play one match at home and one abroad. So we used to meet in home, but friendly match and World Cup, everything's outside. Copa America next year will be in Argentina and Colombia, so we met outside. Maybe.
So when you all get together, from a physical point.
Sorry, I did you wrong.
Go on.
For World Cup and for big tournaments, you used to meet at home. Yep. Sorry, depending of the distance that we're gonna play, where we're gonna play, but we meet at our training center. Granja Comari is a small city close to here, and we can train there for 1 or 2 weeks before traveling to the tournament. But for friendly match, what happened all the year, many times during the year, we meet outside the country.
Okay. So from a physical point of view, when you all get together for friendlies, what physical aims do you have as a sports scientist? Is it a matter of just making sure they're fit and healthy and you're not doing too much compared to what they're used to? Or do you have an individual kind of national physical aim for that period of time when you're together? Because you're not together that much.
No.
When you are together, it's for a short period of time with probably 2, maybe 3 games. So from a physical point of view, that's difficult to make any specific changes. Is it just a case of keeping the guys fresh and fit and ready for the game and recovered?
Yeah, that's the point. You already answered what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would say. That's the point.
yeah.
We have two different ways to work. For friendly matches, that we have 9 days. FIFA period actually is 9 days
Okay.
with the players, and they will have two matches during this time, and also they will come from one match from their clubs. So they will arrive in the camp 48 hours from the last match, and most of them play, as they are quite good players. They play 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's complicated to increase their physical state in 2 days or 3 days. So our main concern is to recover them, and our main concern is to have the players in this situation. We increase the concern about their physical condition in their clubs. So they need to be playing many matches, many minutes to be with us. So we have the we know that they are in a good fit situation. So when we have like long tournament like World Cup, Copa America, if they got one injury just a few weeks before or something like that, is not playing all the time, but he's so important as for the coach, for the tactical and technical aspects of the team. So we can do something to increase his physical condition, do some balance tests, and try to improve him for the beginning of the tournament. So that's the both ways.
With recovery being such a key aspect of when you guys are together, is there anything that you do specifically to try to help that recovery process along? Any protocols that you use?
So the main thing that I believe as a sports scientist is the main things. Main things are the main things. So good nutrition and also good sleep.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point that I believe that can help them a lot. So how we can help them with that? So I work together with as I stay all the time, the managing building CBF. I can work really close to the manager, the team manager. So whenever the manager, me and the physical coach. So whenever the manager think in a hotel, in a plane, in a travel for the athletes, in a charter or airplane charter that we're gonna travel to one place to another, we discuss about the time, moment, what time is better, what time will be the meal in the plane, what time will be the meals in the hotel, the jet lag from each player. So we try to discuss all of that to give them the best situation to sleep and to eat a quite good food. So that's the main thing. So later on, we have all the things to try to recover them better. So compression garments, compression boots, ice bath, and laser LEDs. So everything to try to them recover quickly. So, but what I put all my effort is to try to say to them the importance to sleep and eat well, and also take off. We don't take off their phones, but we ask them to sleep early. Do not be in the phone all the time. The travel, we sometimes I send them some info before come to the friendly match. I used to create like one infographic to say them, oh, you're coming from UK, you are with this time jet lag, so your flight is 9 a.m. So sleep the first part, be awake in the second part. So you arrive here in Brazil already sleepy because it's gonna be night here.
Mm-hmm.
So I send them everything. I'm just giving one example here. I send them everything to feel this information, and it happens many times. It works many times. So I think they listen. They listen what we are saying. So good athletes, high level athletes, they know what's good for them,
Mm-hmm.
and when we are caring of them, so they know.
It sounds like you've got a really close relationship with the manager,
Yes.
the head coach, and
we work we work together every day, all the time when we are not with the players.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to be part of the meetings, technical and tactical meetings every day. So I can listen what they are saying about the players, and I know what their doubts about the players. So that's quite important for me. So to know their doubts, what they thinking about the technical and tactical aspects, so I can put it together with the physical aspect that I imagine.
Mm-hmm. Just going back to the data side of things and the different streams, the RPEs, the GPS, the internal load. How are you pulling that together to make something that's meaningful not only to you but to the technical coaches, the head coaches that you've got such a good relationship with?
Sure. Nowadays, I use some BI software like Power BI. So I used to say that I'm almost changing my job to be a IT guy.
Okay.
All the time dealing with so calculations and connection with getting crazy with that. Mm-hmm. So I put everything in this kind of software, all this information, and I try to get some calculations or correlations with some kind of trainings. And actually for coach and technical team, I used to give them just the important thing. I don't send them graphs, all kind of graphs, all kind of reports. That's my job. I need to interpret all of them and tell them just what is important for each code. I used to say that some years ago, I started doing my report with many graphs, so fancy colors and all this kind of stuff. And I sent it to the coach when I was working with the youth teams. They when I arrived to the dinner, they asked me everything that was there. So they couldn't read all that graphs. They have many things to care about, not be reading. So they asked me, I start thinking, it's in the graph. Couldn't you see that? So, and what I start doing, I used to write a short paragraph with everything. So the coach needs to know. So sometimes I can send them one graph, one chart bar, info about CPK, but I used to write, first I write what I think about all the data, but in one paragraph. So they can have everything in one short paragraph and have all the important info. So if you want to know more, I will be there. So I'll be in the meeting. I will talk with him. So I can help him interpret, and I can say specifically of each athlete. But in my opinion, just to tell the important thing for the coach, not many graphs, not many data. So it's for us to interpret all this data.
How much of an influence is what's going on in Europe? How does what's going on in Europe influence you guys in Brazil from a sports science point of view?
In my point of view, it influences a lot. So actually, Europe is I imagine we have a very good sports scientist in Brazil, but I guess that in Europe it's much more sports science is much more applied on the field. So we have much more sports science in the clubs. So managing all the data. So I'm not sure about the reports for the coaches that they how they deal with the coach, because I don't know all the clubs, but Europe is so good in that. So I think especially England, you have a lot of good sports scientists. Many times sports science doing their PhD inside the clubs. So studying something that it's not applied at that moment, but can be in few years. So it can help the club in a few months or a few years. So that's what I can see. I don't know if you think the same way about Europe, actually, but I think you already in that spot. We are trying to do that as we build in our training center in 2019. I wrote a project to build a huge gym with all kind of technology. So you can measure force balance, force plates, NordBoard, power encoders to measure bar speed, and all this kind of stuff. To maybe in few years we're gonna have like some kind of students, PhD students with us doing some studies in the youth teams or maybe in pro teams to get some sites on that equipment to help us. Actually, you're already using that, but sometimes we can answer questions in 1 week. So you need to repeat, and get one good info in that will be applied in few months. Or I think that Europe is a little bit in front of us in this kind of aspect.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of your players, like we've said a couple of times, are in Europe, and there may be a bit more of a culture of what you just said about being in the gym, strength training. Is that starting to influence what's going on in Brazil as well? I'm thinking that, like we've said again, that it's more technical and tactical, but then players are going off and been influenced by these more European coaches. Are they bringing that back and expecting to go in the gym and be more physical, I guess?
Yes, sure. That's for sure.
Yeah.
When players they travel to Europe that have more this physical aspect, and they sometimes they get some personal trainer with them, and sometimes just the club culture, and they can see that if they don't have the physical aspect, they won't play in some European leagues. So it's quite physical, and they also see that it helped them a lot. So in field, and whenever they come back, we always used to say we see when the player already went to Europe. So it's easy when the player come back. So a different behavior about physical condition, physical state, physical training, pre-training, injury prevention sessions. We can see it clearly, and it's quite good because the player come back, and whenever we have one player that never been in Europe, and they are together, so that's quite good. We don't need to be telling all the time the player that he needs to improve his physical state. When he see another player just taking care about his body, change his behavior at the same time. Mm-hmm. So I pretty agree with that. Mm-hmm. It's clear.
From a Brazilian national team point of view, and you've talked about it a little bit, what's the thing that you're working on next? What do you think you need to improve on from a sports science perspective? You mentioned about the training center and the potential PhD students, working with different technologies. Is there anything else that you guys are focusing on to take the CBF to the next level?
I think we actually, I'm not sure if it's about the sports science, but it's related to the sports science. But we need to increase our tournaments level all the time. Think on that. So if we do that, we will have better players, and we can put more value on sports scientists in their clubs, so they can improve with this physical aspect of physical view, to improve physical state of the athletes in youth teams and also in pro teams, to increase the tournament level. So I think that it can increase everything, can put everything better. But actually, we have many difficult things here in Brazil. As our clubs, they play a lot of team clubs. They play a lot of matches. So some teams here play like 68, 70 matches a year. We have a huge country, so they travel from north to south in less than 3 days to play matches. So sometimes it's hard to just say, oh, you need to increase the physical capacity of our players. But how I can do that if they play every day, if they play twice a week, like for 10, 11 weeks during the year? Mm-hmm. So that's hard. Yeah. So it's hard to say one specific thing that we can do to in a sports science point of view to improve everything. So I and also, as we know that Europe has more financial power, all of our best athletes, when they start playing well, they go to Europe.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's I think that's the balance of everything. So if we could keep all our best players here in Brazil, we will have a higher level of tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it could help, but
Yeah.
it's impossible. So many points that we can discuss here to improve that.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
So from you personally, with your research, what's coming next for you?
Next for me, I think that we need to search more, research more in my job about the players' time, the players' different recovery times.
Okay.
So understanding that, specifically for their national teams, understanding this that we will have them to improve their to improve during the matches or to have better performance. So my next research in the Brazilian team is to understand their recovery profile. So I think that I can help the players to improve their performance.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the Brazilian the national team way. Because if I'm in the club, I will study other things. But as I'm in a national team, I need to understand better this recovery because it's the most important thing for them, as we have a short time with them.
Absolutely. Well, Guy, thank you very much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. Where's the best place that people can reach out to you, ask you any questions, talk about your research, talk about what you do? Where's the best place?
Yes, that's my pleasure to be with you here. It's a very nice talk. I think maybe Twitter. My Twitter is Guy Passos-Ramos. So I couldn't put all my name because no one could say. So it's Guy Passos-Ramos, and my Instagram is also the same, Guy Passos-Ramos.
Perfect.
But yes, so thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm not sure, and I apologize for my English. Long time that I do not speak English, so
Guy, do not
if I say something wrong,
no,
just apologize.
do not apologize, please. This could not have happened if you hadn't have been able to speak such good English. So it's my pleasure to speak to you, and thank you very much for speaking in English and not being too hard on me when I can't even pronounce your name.
Yes. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Guy. Speak to you soon.
See ya.
Bye bye.